yourself watching like a really close NFL game, playoffs are on the line, and the refs make this call that's so bad you just want to chuck your remote at the TV.
Yeah.
Like, what if those bad calls weren't just mistakes? What if it was something more calculated? Today, we're diving deep on an article from Vox Populi, and it goes all in on that idea. Are NFL games rigged to keep us on the edge of our seats?
It's a bold claim for sure,
Yeah.
but the article, it brings up some interesting evidence. And a good place to start is this very public argument between NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell and the NFL Referees Association.
Okay, so unpack that a little bit. What exactly started this whole thing?
Well, there have been these rumors, about referees maybe giving some favorable treatment to the Kansas City Chiefs. And when Goodell was asked about this, he just dismissed it, called the idea ridiculous.
And I'm guessing the Referees Association didn't really like that?
Not one bit they shot back and called Goodell's comment insulting and preposterous.
Whoa, okay, strong words.
Yeah, right. And that's what the author of this article picks up on. Those denials, they're a little too strong, almost like they're protesting too much.
Oh, so you're saying these over-the-top denials are kind of proof that something shady IS going on?
That's the argument they're making. The article calls it a non-denial denial. It's like if someone accuses you of robbing a specific liquor store, but instead of denying it directly, you're like, shh, I would never rob 80 NY liquor store ever.
Yeah.
It's a deflection tactic, and it kind of makes you wonder what they're trying so hard to hide.
Okay, I see what you mean. So is the author saying that the NFL and the Referees Association are using these super vague denials to distract from the fact that there might be some bias towards certain teams?
Bingo.
Hmm.
They're not addressing the specific accusations. Instead, they try to muddy the waters with these broad statements that don't actually disprove anything.
Yeah, that's a pretty clever way to look at it. But let's play devil's advocate for a second. Refs are human. They make mistakes, right? Couldn't these questionable calls just be bad officiating?
Of course, human error is always a factor. But this article goes beyond just like isolated bad calls. It suggests there's this bigger pattern of potential manipulation, like a deliberate tilting of the playing field. And not just for certain teams, but to make the game more exciting in general.
So you're talking about that putting the thumb on the scale thing. If one team's dominating at halftime, the refs will subtly favor the losing team in the second half to make the game closer and more exciting.
Exactly. And the article even suggests it goes deeper than that. It implies that sometimes coaches and even quarterbacks might be told to lose games on purpose for strategic reasons, like getting a better draft pick or shaking up the playoff picture.
Wait, hold on now. Coaches and quarterbacks throwing games on purpose? That sounds more like a conspiracy theory.
It does sound a little out there, I'll admit. But the article makes this really interesting point. The NFL, it's a business. And a very profitable one.
Yeah, with all the TV deals and merchandise and gambling, there's a ton of money at stake.
And that leads to the article's central argument. The NFL might be prioritizing entertainment over the actual integrity of the game. They say they're a real sports league, but their actions, well, they suggest they might be operating more like a reality show, carefully crafting storylines and outcomes to get more viewers and make more money.
So they're saying the NFL might actually have a legal right and a financial incentive to manipulate games, even if it means sacrificing fair play.
That's the core of the argument. And it really makes you wonder, are we really watching a genuine athletic competition? Or just a carefully crafted show designed to keep us glued to our screens? It's a pretty uncomfortable question for any sports fan to consider.
It really makes you think. And the article doesn't even stop there. They use a potential player transaction as an example. They bring up the possible return of quarterback Sam Darnold to the Minnesota Vikings, and this is where things get really interesting. They're suggesting that if this were to happen, it would actually support this theory that the Vikings intentionally lost their last 2 games of the 2024 season. Wait, intentionally lost.
It's intentionally losing? The author is suggesting that the Vikings might have thrown those games on purpose, potentially at the request of the NFL to shake up the playoff picture or create more drama going into the postseason.
Oh, whoa, that's a huge claim. I mean, I know tanking exists to get better draft picks, but throwing games to please the league, that's like manipulation on a whole other level.
It is a pretty wild thought. And it emphasizes this bigger point the article is trying to make. We, the viewers, might not be getting the whole story when it comes to professional sports. What we see on the field might be influenced by more than just the player skills and the coach's plans.
So are they saying we should be watching football with like a constant sense of suspicion, analyzing every single play for signs of a rigged outcome? I don't know if I'm ready to go full conspiracy theorist just yet.
I wouldn't say it's about becoming paranoid or anything like that. But this deep dive definitely encourages us to be more discerning viewers, to question what we see, to look for inconsistencies, and to understand that money and entertainment can have a big influence, and to recognize the difference between real athletic competition and manufactured drama. It's like when you watch a magic show. Just because you know there are tricks involved doesn't mean you can't still enjoy the performance. In fact, you might even appreciate the skill and the artistry even more once you know there's an illusion.
That's a really good analogy. But this whole thing, it does kind of make you wonder, how far does this manipulation actually go? Are we talking rigged reality TV shows, staged news reports? What can we even trust anymore?
Oh, no, let's not get carried away. But you do bring up a good point. It's good to be a critical viewer of all media, not just sports. We know reality TV often uses editing to create drama and shape the narrative.
Yeah.
And even the news, even though it's supposed to be objective, can be influenced by things like editorial choices and what stories they decide to cover and how they present the information.
So it's all about being aware, right? Not just believing everything we see. But doesn't that make you kind of cynical? I mean, there has to be some genuine competition and real news out there, right?
Absolutely. There are amazing athletes who dedicate their lives to their sport coaches who put their heart and soul into their teams. And there are tons of unscripted moments that are just pure brilliance or heartbreak that no amount of manipulation can take away.
Mm-hmm.
And there are journalists out there who risk their lives to bring us important stories. Just because we acknowledge the potential for manipulation doesn't mean those achievements are any less real. It just adds another layer of complexity to how we see and understand them.
Yeah, it's like we're getting a peek behind the curtain and seeing how the wizard is pulling all the levers. It definitely changes your perspective.
Yeah.
So are we supposed to be watching football or even the news with like a constant sense of suspicion? Like, should we be analyzing every play, every headline for signs that it's rigged?
I don't think it's about being suspicious of everything. It's more about being engaged and thoughtful viewers.
Hmm.
Asking questions, looking for things that don't add up, and considering different perspectives before forming our own opinions.
It's like that saying, trust but verify, right? We're not just passive viewers anymore. We're active participants engaging with the information we consume on a deeper level.
Exactly. And that's what makes us more informed and careful consumers of all types of media. We can appreciate the skill and the artistry and the genuine moments of brilliance while also recognizing that there might be some manipulation going on beneath the surface.
Okay, yeah, I can see the value in that.
Mm.
But this Vox Populi article, it really focuses on the NFL. Do you think these same issues of potential manipulation and putting entertainment before integrity apply to other professional sports as well?
That's a really good question. And I think it's safe to say that any sport where there's a lot of money and a huge audience is susceptible to these same pressures. The NBA, MLB soccer, even esports. Anywhere there's big money and a big audience, there's always a risk that the competition itself could be compromised to make things more entertaining.
So this could be even bigger than just the NFL. It could be a problem across all professional sports.
It's definitely something to think about, and it really highlights how important transparency and accountability are from the leagues and organizations we support as fans. We deserve to know that the games and competitions we're watching are decided fairly, based on the athlete's skill and effort, not by some secret plan to create a more exciting product.
Makes you wonder, does this even go beyond sports? Could the same logic apply to other forms of entertainment too?
It's an interesting question for sure. Think about reality TV, for example. The producers are always looking for ways to create drama and conflict. Even if it means manipulating situations or editing things in a way that tells a certain story.
Oh yeah, like those unscripted moments that seem a little too perfect, a little too dramatic to be real.
Exactly. And then you have scripted shows and movies where the writers and directors are always making choices about what stories to tell, what characters to focus on, and what messages to send. It's all a form of manipulation in a sense, shaping our perceptions and playing with our emotions.
So even in fiction, we're not always getting the full picture. There's always some level of interpretation and intention that we might not even realize.
Exactly. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Storytelling is an art form, and it involves making choices that shape the audience's experience. But being aware of those choices lets us engage with the art form on a deeper level, to understand the motivations and the purpose behind the stories we consume.
Okay, this is really making me think about everything I watch and listen to in a new way. It's like we're peeling back the layers of the onion and who knows what we'll find at the center.
That's what's so great about a deep dive. It's about challenging our assumptions, exploring different perspectives, and ultimately coming to a more nuanced understanding of the world.
Yeah, I like that. It's not about being cynical or distrusting everything we see and hear. It's about being informed, engaged, and critical consumers of information, whether it's from sports entertainment or even the news.
And most importantly, it's about having these conversations, sharing our thoughts and perspectives, and learning from each other.
Absolutely. We've definitely covered a lot today, from suspicious calls in the NFL to the idea that the league might prioritize entertainment over fair play. And maybe it's not just football. It's been a really eye-opening conversation.
It really has. And it's important to remember this is just the beginning. There's so much more to explore and discuss about the influence of entertainment, the power of the media, and the choices we make as consumers.
Okay, so where do we go from here? We've talked about suspicious calls in the NFL and the idea that the league might be choosing entertainment over fair play, and maybe this isn't even just about football.
Yeah, we've looked at how these ideas could apply to other sports, reality TV, even the news, and yeah, it's definitely a lot to think about, but hopefully it's got you thinking about the things you see and hear in a different way.
It definitely has me thinking. I'm curious, what's your main takeaway from all this? Like, what does this deep dive mean for us as fans and viewers?
Hmm. That's the big question, isn't it? And honestly, I don't think there's a simple answer, but here's something to think about. Maybe this isn't about becoming all cynical, and losing faith in our favorite sports or entertainment. Maybe it's about becoming more aware and engaged.
What do you mean by that?
Well, instead of just blindly accepting everything we see, we can start asking some questions.
Hmm.
Be more critical of the officiating, the media narratives, the decisions made by leagues, teams, producers, everyone involved. Look for those things that don't quite add up or feel a little too perfect.
So be skeptical, but don't let it ruin the fun.
Exactly. We can still enjoy the excitement of the game, the unexpected moments, the amazing athleticism, get caught up in the drama of a reality show or a fictional story, but we can do it with a more discerning eye, a better understanding of what might be going on behind the scenes.
It's like leveling up our viewing experience, right? We're not just passive viewers anymore. We're active participants really engaging with the content on a whole new level.
That's a great way to put it. And that kind of engagement, that willingness to think critically, that's what helps us become more informed and careful consumers of all kinds of information, not just sports, but everything.
Okay, I'm really starting to see the bigger picture here, but if I'm being honest, I'm still kind of bothered by this idea that the NFL might be manipulating games. It feels almost like a betrayal.
I understand that, and it's important to remember that what we talked about today are just allegations and interpretations from that one article. We don't have solid proof that the NFL or any other league is actually rigging games or anything like that.
True, but it's still kind of unsettling to think about.
It is, and it really shows how important transparency and accountability are in professional sports, and really in all forms of entertainment. Fans and viewers deserve to know that what they're watching is genuine, that the competition is fair, and that the stories being told are authentic, even if there's a little bit of staging or editing involved.
So it's a two-way street. We need to be more critical viewers, but the leagues, producers, and networks, they need to be more transparent about how they do things.
Absolutely. Openness and honesty. That's how you build trust when we feel like we're being manipulated. It makes us less confident and less likely to enjoy things.
Well said. I think we've covered a lot today, from those questionable calls on the field to thinking of the NFL as an entertainment business to what it all means for how we consume all forms of media. It's been a really fascinating and thought-provoking conversation.
It has, and I hope it sparked some interesting conversations among our listeners.
I'm sure it has. So for all of you listening out there, what are your thoughts? Do you think the NFL is rigging games? Does this change how you view professional sports or other forms of entertainment? Share your reactions and keep the conversation going. And join us next time for another deep dive into a topic that will definitely get you thinking.
Until then, keep asking those tough questions and stay curious.